Hello and welcome to Latter-day Profiles. I'm Brian Howard here on the campus of Brigham Young University-Idaho, and joining me today is President Alvin F. Meredith III, the president of BYU-Idaho, and his wife, Jennifer Meredith. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is part two. If you missed the first part, we got to talk about your growing up and missions and serving with your kids all over the world. Today we want to focus on your service here at BYU-Idaho. And first thing I want to find out about, of course, is, well, I do want to mention you're currently serving as a General Authority 70 and got that call as you're serving as a mission president. But at some point along the line, you got introduced to BYU-Idaho and came and gave a devotional address.
That's right.
And I think at that point, you didn't have any connection to BYU-Idaho. What was that experience like coming and giving a devotional address? And what did you know about BYU-Idaho at that point?
We knew very little about BYU-Idaho. And this was last February, so almost exactly a year ago from when we're filming this. And we had an assignment just as a general authority to come up and do a devotional here. And we left, I think, with the thought of, that's a really special place.
But we'll never get to live there.
Not sure I'll see it again, but that was a nice little visit. And but that was our first exposure, and it was nice to have that for when the call came. So we knew a little bit of what we could look forward to, but it was still very new to us.
Yeah, let's talk about the process because, you know, in traditional universities, they put out a nationwide search, they have finalist candidates, everybody knows, and they pick those. Here, no one has any idea that it's going to happen until one day you walk on the stage and here's a new president. But for you, you'd known for quite a while. How did that process work where you were notified and visited? I think it was with the whole First Presidency.
That's right. Well, I didn't apply. So the Tuesday after April General Conference, all the general authorities gather in an auditorium in the church office building, and the First Presidency lets us know what our assignments are going to be for the next year. And so we went to that meeting, and we were told that we were going to continue in our current assignment in the Middle East, Africa, North Area Presidency. That's the only international area presidency that's headquartered in Salt Lake. So we thought we were going to continue to live in Salt Lake. And then we had a couple other assignments that we were excited about. I went back to my office. That afternoon, I got a call from Brooke Hales, who is the secretary to the First Presidency. And he said the First Presidency would like to meet with you and Sister Meredith in 3 weeks. So there were a couple things that were of note there. One, it was both of us with the entire First Presidency. When I was called as a general authority and as a mission president, I met with one member of the First Presidency. This was going to be the entire First Presidency. And the other thing is it was 3 weeks away, which gives you a long time to think and let your mind just wander to, or wonder, I should say, what that meeting could possibly be. So we went and met with the First Presidency, and there's not words to describe just what a special meeting that was. To sit knee to knee with President Nelson, a prophet of the Lord. He told us that our assignment had been changed and that we were going to be the new president and first lady of BYU-Idaho. And we were ecstatic. We thought we were going into that meeting to be told that we were going to open up the Middle East, Africa, North Area Presidency office in Dubai. So we went in thinking we were moving to Dubai, and we walked out knowing that we were moving to Rexburg.
A little different climate between those two places.
We, the First Presidency asked us to not share that news with anyone, including our children. And our children knew that we had this meeting. They were very anxious, and we told them that it was going to be another 3 weeks before we could tell them. And that was going to be when the announcement was made in May by Elder Christofferson here on campus. And so that Monday before that announcement, we gathered all the kids together. Suitcases were already packed. We told them that once the car was packed, we'll tell them where we're going. And they thought we were going to Dubai. And we told them that we were going to Rexburg, and they were probably tempered in their response. But on the drive on the way up, as we crossed the border from Utah to Idaho, they cheered because that was going to be their new home. And they have been just troopers since then, and we have loved it since we've been here.
Sister Meredith, tell me about, from your perspective, receiving that calling, and then also speaking with your family. What was that like for you?
I was really excited to come. I've just heard I had 4 siblings that attended school here, and every single one of them said it was their favorite university experience. And so they've been telling me that for a long time. And now I understand. But I was really proud of our children for just having such great attitudes. We have one daughter now that's changed schools every year of high school. She's a senior now, so she's going to be graduating here at, again, a new high school. And they've just had the best attitudes, and I'm so grateful for that. When they started cheering when we crossed the border into Idaho, they couldn't see, but I was up in the front seat just crying, just because I was grateful that, because if they're good, it just makes it easier on me as a mom, right, to know that we're gonna embrace this new adventure all together. And they've had such a great experience. We've been welcomed so warmly here in Rexburg, and we're so thankful for that.
And when you and President Meredith were introduced, President Meredith talked about you playing a big role, being here with him. What's it been like? And it's different than being mission leaders, but it's probably have some similarities too. The age group is pretty similar, right?
Yes.
How's that been?
Well, I was actually really grateful when we only got to serve as mission leaders for 2 years instead of 3 when he was called to be a general authority. And that was a little bit hard for me because we loved our missionaries and we were expecting another year with them. Yeah. So this call here has felt like Heavenly Father has given me another opportunity to work with young adults. The mission of BYU-Idaho is to develop disciples of Jesus Christ who are leaders in their home, the church, and their communities, which is very similar to the missionary purpose, to invite others to come unto Jesus Christ. And so I feel like it's just an extension. It almost feels like a mission 2.0 that we get to continue working with this really, and we have 3 young adults and 3 soon-to-be young adults, and so it just feels like a really fun place to be.
Get an inside look.
That's right.
In some regards, I feel like we're more companions than we were even on the mission. Because we were kind of COVID mission leaders, and we had children at home doing Zoom school, we weren't together as much as even we are right now. And she is a big part of everything that's happening here on campus. And you can imagine people love her. I ran into a friend recently who said, "We have friends up in Rexburg, and we have heard," and I was bracing myself for a compliment, and she said, "So many great things about Jennifer." So it's a really sweet for me to see her interact with the students here, and she loves them, but they love her just as much.
Well, I know it's not Dubai, but how's the acclimation been to Rexburg? And some of the experiences that you've had since you've been here, obviously you experienced a nice fall, and we, of course, turned into weather. Summer will come, it always does, but what's it been like acclimating to just the community?
Tell them about this morning, when you woke up this morning.
Well, I think this was my first morning I woke up and said, I'm in Idaho, and I looked at the app, on my weather app on my phone, and it was 31 degrees, and I thought, it's warmed up. I don't even need to wear a coat today. So I'm adopting this paradigm. There's no bad weather. There's just bad clothes and bad shoes. In fact, if you think about it, there are people from all over the world, not just the country, that come to southeastern Idaho on vacation for corporate meetings, and we're right in the middle of that. This is a great place to be. There are days that it's cold. But if you wear the right clothes and the right shoes, you're just fine. And we've enjoyed just the college town feel of Rexburg. There are lots of fun things to do on campus and off of campus, and we've embraced that, and just feel blessed to be here.
And kids enjoying it. They've been here now, going to school, doing those kind of things.
They love the high school. In fact, about 2 or 3 days after we got here, we had a knock on our door at 10:30 at night. And there were 8 17-year-olds on our front doorstep. And I thought, what is going on? And they just said, can Ellie come and roast marshmallows with us next door? And I thought, what kind of place is this? And our children have just been so warmly welcomed by the teenagers. And you don't always find that. I've lived a lot of places, and you don't always find that. In fact, I think it's rare. So they've just jumped right into activities at the school and they've just loved it.
Rexburg is famously friendly. And that's even amplified on campus.
That's great. Aside from the community, you got introduced to the BYU-Idaho community, the faculty, the staff. What were some first impressions as you got here? And it's probably deepened over time, but what was first impressions?
2 things. 1, the level of consecration of the people here, and 2, the talent level. We have an unbelievably talented group of faculty, administrators, employees, and they're all using those talents to further the work and to fulfill the mission to develop disciple leaders. And their consecration and their talent have been both very impressive and inspiring.
Sister Meredith, anything you'd add to that?
I would just ditto. I agree 100%. I've just been so impressed with, I think just one thing in addition to that, just how warm and inviting, and neither of us have any experience in higher education other than being students ourselves. And we've had a steep learning curve, but everyone has just been so encouraging and supportive, and we've just really appreciated that.
I've been involved in a lot of organizations, both in the church and outside the church, and I've never been part of anything where the alignment to the mission is as tight as it is at BYU-Idaho. People are very focused on the mission and are very focused on providing a phenomenal educational experience, and focused on making sure that we're educating the whole person. We feel strongly, just like our other sister schools in CES, that spiritual learning and secular learning are very complementary.
And we've had opportunities now to meet with our board of directors, which is apostles and prophets, right?
That's right.
And obviously, they feel very strongly about the youth of the church, invest a lot into the CES system. What's your take on that and the importance of that, and why so much time and effort is put into the youth of the church?
President Nelson has said that in the church, education is a religious responsibility. And we gain an education so that we might be of service to someone else down the road. One of the mottos is to enter to learn, go forth to serve. The further we get into the perilous times that Paul talks about, the more important it's going to be for us to align with living prophets and apostles, and to make sure that the learning that we're engaged in is filtered through the lens of gospel truths. And I think that is the reason that the church makes such a tremendous investment in education.
What do you feel from us, you, Sister Meredith? You're able to interact with a lot of students. You do family home meetings. What do they talk about? What are their concerns? What do they share with you?
I think some of them are concerned. Some of them are concerned about just finding the right person, right, and getting married, and that's a really big decision. Some of them are concerned about their future, what job to take, where to go, which are really good questions, right? And I think President Nelson's consistent encouragement to seek personal revelation is so applicable, and we strive to be a prophetic echo of what President Nelson is teaching, that if they will do the small and simple things, right, just be really diligent about their prayers, about studying the scriptures, being in the temple, participating in those ordinances, attending church, partaking of the sacrament, that the Lord will continue to guide them in all of those big decisions. It doesn't feel like that long ago that we were there making really big decisions about what job to take and when to have children and all those things, but over and over again, he's guided us, and we can be just a witness that the Lord wants to direct them, right? He wants them to receive that personal revelation. He wants them to be successful. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and that they're not going to encounter trials and challenges, because those are part of the experience. But I think that's when our testimonies are strengthened even more, when we recognize that Heavenly Father helps us navigate some crazy times.
I know there's always a delicate balance with young adults. Dating, marriage, don't want to hear too much of it. Kind of want that to happen. Don't want to reveal too much. I have kids that age as well. You're doing, coming up, it'll be long over when this airs, but date night with the Merediths. What was the inspiration for that? Inviting young men and women, whether they're engaged, married, or single, to have a date and come and hang out with the Merediths. Maybe play some pickleball with you, yeah.
This was really the vision of Elder Gilbert, the Commissioner of Church Education. He's rightly pointed out that we need to change the culture of dating, particularly on the church campuses. We've gotten out of the habit of just asking someone out and pairing off, and so we've planned what I think is going to be a fantastic date night here on campus. You'll remember President Oaks said a date consists of three things: that it's planned ahead, it's paid for, and they're paired off. And so we're taking care of 2 of those 3 things, and we're just inviting them to pair off. And we hope that going forward, it's gonna lower the stress about dating. Dating is an important part of preparing for marriage. And dating doesn't always lead to marriage. Both of us dated plenty of people, and we married each other. And I think the people that we dated before we were married helped us become better spouses. And so we hope that the students here will embrace that and be more active in their dating
It
lives.
sounds like fun. And that is always one of the challenges, right? Because you want to meet other people. You're worried about perceptions, and so I know that's on a lot of young men and young women's minds. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to attend as well.
Me too.
Anything that's paid for is always
That's
good, right? Larger scheme of things, higher education is kind of COVID kind of exaggerated this quite a bit. Coming under fire, is it worth
Sure.
it? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Bigger picture, higher education. What are we looking at?
Well, I mean, that's one of the challenges facing higher education now. There are plenty of people that are calling into question the return on investment in education. And I would say 2 things to that. One, again, President Nelson has taught us that education is a religious responsibility for members of the church. The second thing is because the church makes such a tremendous investment, the cost of attendance for students at church schools is minuscule compared to those that go to even state schools, but certainly other private schools. And so the return on investment question is much easier for those that decide to attend a church school. And the other thing I would say to that is, again, we really believe in the importance of educating the whole person, not just spiritually, but also intellectually, and not just spiritually and intellectually, but socially and even physically. And we believe that that's part of becoming a disciple of Christ, growing the way the Savior did, which was in all 4 of those areas.
I know you come in here, you're taking some things from the 4 disciplines of education. One is WIGS, which is wildly important goals,
Yeah.
correct? What are a couple of those that you might want to mention that you have in mind as far as BYU-Idaho goes?
Sure. Well, this assignment came with a job description, and there's 2 points in the job description that probably drive where I spend most of my time. The first was to preserve the spirit of Regs. There is something unique on this campus. And sometimes it's referred to as the spirit of Rex. I think President Nelson, when he extended this assignment, he said it's really the Spirit of the Lord. And there has been a wonderful foundation that's been set here by people who currently work here, but also my predecessors, President Henry J. Eyring, Clark Gilbert, Kim Clark, David Bednar, going all the way back to President Henry B. Eyring. The things that they established, we need to preserve those things. The other part of my job description that takes a good portion of my time is the charge to teach and amplify the message of BYU-Idaho. And we need to tell our story more broadly and in a more compelling way. If you talk to alumni, if you talk to current students about the experiences that they have here, they will tell you that they grew in their discipleship, that they got great educations, and that they had fun along the way. And there are many, many young people in the church that could be blessed by an educational experience at BYU-Idaho. And so that's one of the things that we're focused on, is making sure that people know that and creating spaces for them here.
I always felt like it's kind of a hidden gem. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad.
Right.
I look at people that get hired since I've been here. I've been here for 24 years, which I'm an old person now, I guess. But I was like, would I have made it on the finalist list? With some of these, they're fantastic faculty. They do a great job, and it's kind of a mystery to me because it seems like a little bit of a hidden gem. What are some of the solutions for that? How do we tell that story? What are some of your thoughts that you've had?
Well, we're relooking at our communication strategy. We have a fantastic communications team that is looking the way that we portray ourselves on the website and in social media. Sister Meredith and I are taking the message on the road. We're doing parent and youth devotionals with the Gilberts and with the Reeses from BYU. We're doing those in the Pioneer Corridor. When I am out at state conferences, I'm flying in a day early and doing alumni meetings and donor meetings and prospective student meetings just to tell our story. We have wonderful success stories in our alumni base. BYU-Idaho graduates that have gone on to the top grad schools in the company and in the country, and that have gone on to work at the most prestigious companies in the country. And we need to tell those stories over and over.
By the way, for you, we forget, you're very busy as president, but I also have another calling as General Authority 70. And you're gone how many weekends? You're forming new stake presidencies. How often does that take you away?
They've been kind to me. I'm away probably 2 weekends a month now, and
Instead of 3.
Before this assignment, it was 3.
We'll take it.
Very busy. Well, I want to ask you to kind of wrap things up. I'll ask you first, Sister Meredith. You've been here, about a year. Then as you look ahead, nobody knows exactly how long this assignment is. It's one of those that doesn't have an end date. That's
Right.
like a stake president, doesn't set by the computer. What do you hope, in your stewardship, what do you look forward to the most as you're going through? And then what are some things perhaps you hope to accomplish at your time here at BYU-Idaho?
Well, I think when I think about what we hope to accomplish, I've just had impressed upon my mind since he received this assignment that we would hope that these students become lifelong disciples of Jesus Christ. That if they will remember to go to the Savior and to listen to the prophet, they're gonna and keep reading their scriptures. That the Lord will guide them throughout their lives, and they will encounter challenges. And we just hope that they remember those basic things, to be in the temple, right? All the things that I mentioned earlier. That the Lord will continue to guide them, and they will be such. They're so needed in this world. Their light, their testimony, their goodness. It will be sought after. There's a famous quote. I'm sure you've seen the video multiple times of President Henry B. Eyring from I think 2001 when he came to campus, and it makes me cry every time because I just think of all the good that will come from the thousands of students that graduate from BYU-Idaho. That's what I would hope for them.
Yeah, I know that prophetic vision that Elder Irene shared about our graduates will become legendary. Probably comes with it some relief or gratitude. I'm working with great people, but also probably some weight, right? Because ultimately that kind of falls. Feels like okay, maybe that's on my shoulders. How do you go forward with that? How do you feel about that kind of moving for the university forward based on that prophetic vision?
Well, I asked President Henry B. Eyring, Elder David A. Bednar, Kim Clark, Clark Gilbert, Henry J. Eyring for their counsel here, and they all use different words, but there were 2 common themes. The first was BYU-Idaho is a special place, so don't mess it up. And the second, and you can imagine President Henry B. Eyring doing this, pointing upwards, saying, "You find out what the Lord wants you to do, and you just do that." I take a great comfort in knowing that the Lord cares a lot about what happens at this university, that He cares a lot and loves for the student and has a great love for the students here. And because of that, He'll direct us if we'll just listen.
President and Sister Meredith, it's been a pleasure to have you here. So glad that you've taken the time to come and visit with us, and wish you all the best in however many years you stay here, which we hope is a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.